titled The Throne of Satan, and then the other one was the recurring signs of the tribulation. The Throne of Satan. The verse you used in the beginning of the chapter is Revelation 2, verse 13. It says, I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is, and thou holdest fast my name, and hast now not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Abius was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth. And what's the chapter about the throne of Satan? Can you explain that to us a little bit there? Because I found some interesting things in here, and I just want you to kind of point this chapter out a little bit.
Well, the throne of Satan, it was originally in Pergamum, in Greece. Oh no, it's in Asia Minor. And you know, when an emperor, a German emperor, decided to build some roads from Turkey to Germany, and he had to go through Asia Minor, and of course, they discovered a temple, and it's you know, it's an old temple, and they had it moved to Berlin, and it's actually, you can go into Berlin School, it's called the Pergamon Museum in Berlin, and look at it, and it looks like a temple shaped like a U, you know, and with big stairs in front, and I have a picture of it in my book, and it's called the Throne of Satan. So you know, it's just you know, some people were martyred on the steps, you know, who refused to bow and worship the Caesars. So you know, this is the Throne of Satan. And there's another piece of furniture also called the Throne of Satan, and you know, and I talk about it in my book. And but it's very interesting that you know, it's in Berlin. Of course, Berlin, you know, the Germans moved the capital from Bonn to Berlin, and it's very interesting that the seat of the German government now is in Berlin. When you have the seat of Satan, you know, and when I think of Germany, I think of Nazis. I mean, you know, I just can't help it. It just sticks to them. So, you know, it just makes sense that, you know, but when the Russians took it for a couple of years and brought it to Moscow, and it's called the Lenin Mausoleum, and the Lenin Mausoleum is on the Red Square, and it's a replica. It's, you know, like in a way, it's a replica of the Throne of Satan, you know, the temple that is found in Pergamum. And of course, it's where Lenin is, you know, I shouldn't say like buried, but exposed, he's mummified, and we found some interesting information about Lenin. And something I wanted to tell you. It's, you know, I knew that my book was tied up also with Chernobyl. You know, Chernobyl occurred on the, you're not going to believe this one, but this is true. It occurred on day 116 of 1986. Well, when I see 116, I see 116, and I see 11:6. 11 hours and 6 minutes is 666 minutes. It's also 9/11 inverted. So to me, you know, it ties 9/11 to, you know, God's wrath. It's really what it is. 9/11 marks God's wrath. Now, what's interesting, 9/11 occurred on day 254. Now, let's see, the day 116, you know, usually occurs on the, let's see if I got it right, on the 24th, which is the 26th of April. But on leap years, it falls on the 25th or 26th of April, which is 254. See, just like 9/11 that occurred on day 254. So to me, that's a tie between one of the codes that ties Chernobyl and 9/11. Plus, of course, both of them were, I call them signs of fire, because reactor number 4 is the reactor that exploded at Chernobyl. And there's also, by the way, the reactor, I mean, the central at Chernobyl, you know, the one that had the accident in 1986, it's called a Central Lenin. Very funny. You know, anyway, yeah, because, you know, Lenin was a very anti-Christ, so, you know. And what's interesting also, my friend went to Chernobyl, you know, Gerard. He went to Chernobyl earlier this year. And it's very interesting, and he says, you know, the only church I saw there were 16 churches before catastrophe. And the guy who was with me is the guy who helped evacuate the town of Chernobyl. And, you know, they had, within 2 days, there were 50,000 inhabitants had to be evacuated, you know, outside the danger zone. And so, you know, so the guy was with him, and he says, so Gerard took some pictures because he loves to take pictures. You know, Gerard can look at some pictures and some buildings, and, you know, and can look at signs of God everywhere. He tells me, you see, I see so many signs of God every day, I forget 85% of it. So, you won't believe this, but in Chernobyl, there's just one church is left, from the 16 before the catastrophe. And guess what church that is?
What's that?
It's a church of Saint Elijah. See, Elijah, who was raptured, that's the church.
Oh, that's
and we found out that the church of Saint Elijah is in French, we say it's Église Saint-Élie. And in Église Saint-Élie, which means Church of Saint Elijah, you have, in Église, which means church, you have the words in order, the letters in order for Eli, which is the French for Elijah, and Élysée, which is French for Elisha. So you see, really what it is, to me, it's a code that pertains to the rapture. It's also another code. And, when the Bible says, when the rapture comes, when you see that, so Elijah was raptured, so Elijah never knew death. But Eli died, the normal death. So, and I think about, the dead in Christ, you rise first, and then we are alive, it is coming, And here you go, you have a type of the person who already in heaven and the people who will be on earth. And I knew that my book was tied with Chernobyl because something just told me, so I just waited, and finally, guess when my book was released. What date?
It was April.
Of course.
April 29th, wasn't it?
Well, they say, I believe it's the 28th, but actually it was, excuse me, I laugh because it's so funny, on Ascension Day.
Oh, okay.
I have to laugh because this is God's humor. Now it's very interesting because Ascension Day was, excuse me, was 1st May. And 1st May 2008, if you reduce to not single digits, it gets 151. And I have told you earlier that 151 is the number of Jesus Christ. When we think of ascension, that's his ascension. And also, so by curiosity, I just went on the internet and started looking for on a calendar to see how many occurrences Ascension Day was on 1st May of any given year. And the calendar I had started in 1777, which is interesting because it's the year after 1776, which this number is also in my book, by the way. Very interesting, pertaining to the rapture and everything. And I found out that only 4 times Ascension Day fell on the 1st May, and it was 1913, 1858, 1845, and 1788. But none of those years adds to 1. Which means that the day my book was released, Ascension Day, by the way, and all that matters, Ascension Day 2008, it's a unique date, at least in 1777. It's a unique date. And, all the codes seem to indicate that the rapture will occur during a leap year. I may be wrong, but, I'm telling you, I believe the rapture would occur during a leap year. Leap, what do you think about leap? And also, I was telling you that my book is encoded with Chernobyl, and I'm going to give you a simple code. No need to search, for 2 hours for a code. Ascension Day 2008 was day 122. In France, we write Chernobyl with a T, starting with C, and you started with a C. And Chernobyl has a value of 122. See? So 122, 122. So to me, this encodes my book with Chernobyl, somehow, And what's interesting also that there's not many people who, something like 550 visitors can go visit Chernobyl per year, and it is mainly, scientists and people just to see how, environment is, behaving, and all the animals, the wildlife, and everything, and of course you have to keep the central, the central lane, kind of protected because the radiations will destroy the concrete. They put the sarcophagi of concrete around the reaction on the floor. But what's very interesting that when you go on Chernobyl, they tell you to stay on the road. And I went on this website called elenafilatova.com, and it's a lady and her dad worked at Chernobyl, so you can tell she knows a little about radioactivity, and the way she explains it is very good. And she read on one of her paragraphs, she said something, and I just jumped in the air because I couldn't believe it. She said, the radiation, you can stay on the road because on the asphalt you're protected against the radiation. And actually, what it means, the radiation falls, better on like a living organism, like mushrooms, apples, grass. We're not really on the asphalt. And I said, I can't believe it. because I have a book called, it's from Mary